if you want to be respected in your community, but you want to do some things that you don't want your community to know about, then you have to have a shell occupation. Basically, you have to have an alibi. You have to make everybody else think that you're doing one thing when you're actually doing something else. And you have to have people convinced that that's what you're doing. So you're going to have to be a little bit believable. That means you're actually going to have to do that to a degree. For instance, if you want to launder money, then you're going to have some type of shell business in order to do that. In order to be able to defraud the people who want to know what you're doing. And it's like that with almost anything. When we are young, as juveniles, as kids, as naive, green individuals who are still a little bit wet behind the ears, before we gain experience and see a lot of things in life, we think things are so much simpler. And then as we grow in understanding, we see that what people say they're doing and what they're actually doing, in many cases, and maybe almost every case, are actually two different things. People say they're going to this certain event for one reason, but they're really going for another reason. And I'm not going to say too many things here because I don't want to be misinterpreted. And I don't want to cause anybody who may be watching this who's young to lose your spark and your fire. Because a lot of the time, in many cases, when people are young, they have a bright and unadulterated, pure view of the world. And when they get older and they learn so many things that are true but uncomfortable, they begin to become brazen and less excited about what this world has to offer. That's why we need so much young energy in so many areas, because there's so much corruption in our society. But at any rate, people say they're doing one thing and they're actually doing something else. And the story is that they're doing one thing, but the thing that their story says that they're doing is really just a shell for what they're actually doing. It's just an alibi, it's just an alias. So, as a person grows in understanding, they begin to see what's really going on behind the scenes, underneath the surface. Begin to see below the surface of the water. Like when you're looking at a body of water, you see just the top, beautiful waves and the little foam coming off the ocean. But when you look down into the ocean, you see all the shipwrecks on the bottom of the ocean floor. And all the death and destruction destruction and the tragedy of the real picture. You begin to look into people's affairs down through history and see how evil human nature is towards one another. Whether knowingly or unknowingly, people are cruel to one another historically. And they use each other to get ahead. They step up on each other. And it's no better now than it's ever been. It's still the same. People act the same. Human nature's the same. You get excited thinking something's good, something's different, but it's not long before you realize that, no, it's not different. People behave in patterns. They behave in extremely predictable manners. And you can never really know what somebody's up to, because if somebody's extremely slick, the slicker they are, the more they're going to throw you off by making you think that they're one way when they're actually some other way. In other words, if somebody is doing something that they know that people will not like, they'll put on a mask. They'll put on an alias. They will put on a story, which is actually true to a degree. If somebody is a organized crime executive, they're going to put on an appearance that maybe they're just an interior decorator, and you would never know how many jobs they have or don't have, so they could even advertise and put on an appearance of being a legitimate business. They could be a contractor, say they build houses, and they could build a house here or there and not even worry about the profit they're getting off of it, because all it is just a mask to throw people off of what they're actually doing. So anywhere you look in life, there's always a surface appearance. And that's why it's so important to know what your audience is. If you're trying to sell a product to somebody, your ad is going to be tailored differently if you're in a crowd where every person in that crowd is a millionaire and there's 2,000 people in the crowd. Your whole mannerisms of your persuasion are going to be completely different than if you're in a crowd speaking to a body of people, and the majority and the average people in that crowd are worth less than $100,000 in their entire net worth. You're talking about two different people, different types of people with completely different mindsets and different outlooks and views on life. People who are worth a lot more money are generally completely different in their approach to the whole world. So it's all these little things that you have to learn in order to navigate through so many situations in life. And that's why trying to diagnose a situation is so complex and complicated. Although you can assume you know what's going on, it's so hard to tell because people are extremely smart when it comes to getting away with doing whatever it is that they're trying to do. And there's way more going on in people's life than you will ever know. So you have to be careful how you talk to people, because you never know what they're capable of, who they know, and how it will affect you in the future. You've got to be careful what you do.